even all of the Paladins champs. I know that there's many more after this at this point. I think there's like 50 something now, which is insane and crazy, but pretty cool that they're still going with it. But honestly, this is literally about the exact same time that I stopped just paying attention and playing, was around these last few champs that I see. So again, this is probably going to be good as far as at least I know and have played against every champion that I've seen. So I'm just going to go based off of what I have seen and found and played as the most consistency overall, who I think makes the best differences and who's overall just consistent if somebody even just decent is playing them. Obviously, you can have different preferences, and obviously some people can be gods or absolutely terrible with each of these champions, as we've all seen with this game or Overwatch or something similar. But again, overall consistency of what I've seen. Let's just start with my favorite support champion, hi-rez, and before I get too into it, I'm going to be super forgetful of all these people's names. I haven't played in a long time, so take that with a grain of salt. But hi-rez, I think, is arguably the best support champion. Obviously, again, you can have so many cards that affect all of these champions in a very positive or negative way. So taking out all the cards or how good you can make someone or an aspect of them, I think hi-rez is probably the best healer in the game. And you can make her insane with some range, but she does very good healing. Her damage isn't the best, but the fact that her damage orbs, when you use them and then make them explode, heals her back. She's very hard to kill, and then if she does get in trouble, she can just, you know, become untargetable and go invisible, which I think is huge, especially for, you know, a support healing champion. Yeah, just I think she's arguably the best. I would put Fiora up there as well. I think she does a lot more damage than hi-rez, but I think not as good as healing, but her healing is definitely can be insanely good as well. Obviously, you can probably tell that I'm a support main. But yeah, I think it's Fiora is her name. But yeah, she was probably, these two were probably my go-tos, especially if we needed a support champion. Again, I think she deals very high damage for a support champion, and obviously she does very good at healing. Let's see, who's next? We'll just go Androxus. I think that's his name. I might be wrong. I think he's a B tier champion. I think he's just solid. I don't think he's too great or too bad. I think a lot of him depends upon the team that's built around him, which, you know, that can be said about literally every champion, but I think he's more dependent upon it because just because his movement and the way he moves and how he has to kill champions, I think he can't really 1v1 well. I think he's more of just a peeling type unit where he can, you know, he's got to get in and out, deal some damage and or get some kills, and then, you know, go back and kind of regroup type of thing. But still, I think overall solid. Obviously, he can be moved up or down depending upon who's playing him, but, you know, again, that can literally be everybody. But yeah, I think he's a solid overall champion and obviously the poster boy of Paladins itself. And, you know, if you're looking for an Overwatch type game, this is it. It's literally Overwatch. And it's free, so, you know, if you're trying to get your Overwatch fix or you've never played this before or anything like that, check this out. It's on all platforms. It's free. It's just as fun, maybe a little less annoying at times. I guess we'll just kind of go in order. Ashe. I don't know with Ashe. I think Ashe is C. I don't really think she's too amazing. I think she's decent at holding an objective or a point, and that's mostly just due to her ult. She does have a shield, obviously, but the shield is, you know, just forward moving, and I don't think she has a lot of DPS, which, you know, most tanks usually don't, but I think hers is even on the lesser side of that. Yeah, she's alright. Like, it's not gonna be that you're bad or she's bad, but I think she's just one of the lower tier tanks. I think there's just overall better choices to perform a tank spot than her. Barrack, I think, is probably an A tier. I think having a whole other unit in the turrets can really be helpful, and I think he has alright damage, and at least he has a little bit of movement as well. I think he's just overall solid champion and can definitely help you win games, as well as hold down an objective or a point or even a payload as well. He's definitely one of my favorites to play. I think he's just overall solid. Bomb King is difficult. I think Bomb King is honestly C tier. I think he could be B, but I think the problem is that if you're not super accurate and someone, you know, you're in kind of like a 1v1 fight and someone's pushing up at you, I feel like he doesn't win those fights. I feel like his ult is very good. I feel like as far as crowd control, he's probably the best in this game. One of them for sure. But I think it comes down to DPS. If you're not super accurate or hitting the right spots, he's going to be on the lower end. And again, in a 1v1 fight, he's questionable. He can obviously win it super quick if you do stick them, but if you don't, then it's probably a L or a death. Buck, Buck I think could be in B. I think he's overall solid. I think the only downside to him is that you have to get close to be able to do anything. But I think him being able to kind of stun people can help him get that distance, or at least keep the distance close to him, which is what he wants with his shotgun. I think his ult is good as far as making him kind of hard to kill. I don't think he really does that much more damage with it, but you know, I think he's an overall solid champ and can definitely get some peel kills and help the squad out. I do think he's relatively, not necessarily easy to kill, but I don't think he has a whole lot of movement to get in and out. I think he's just, you know, got to get in close and then hope that that's enough for him to, you know, win the fight. Cassie, probably nobody's going to go in D tier, by the way. I think everybody is obviously viable at any point, especially depending upon the map and who's playing them. So yeah, I'm probably not going to end up putting anybody in D tier. But Cassie is just kind of overall underwhelming. I think she's just one of the first people to play because she's not amazing. I don't really think she does enough damage for being a damage champion. She can move a little bit with her, you know, back leap and whatnot, but I don't think that, I mean, yeah, it might keep her from dying, but again, you know, the amount of damage she deals out for the most part isn't overwhelming, and there's definitely a ton of better DPS choices that's going to help the team more than, you know, a backline sniper-esque. I'm going to have to go the same with Kanessa. I think she's just too inconsistent. Obviously, we have all played with or against the Kanessa that, you know, can do a lot of one-shots or a lot of high and heavy damage, but then we've also, I'm sure, all played with the Kinessa that doesn't. And that's just because she's way too inconsistent. Her mines are okay. I think they're a little undervalued, but I think overall, unless you're hitting those snipes, she's basically, you know, kind of a wasted pick in my opinion. But, you know, again, I know we've all played with those god tier ones and the not so god tier ones as well. Let's do Sky. I think Sky is a S tier as well. I think the amount of, not movement, but I guess the amount of disruption she can cause is better than arguably anybody. I think her ult is very, very good, probably one of the best in the game because of her invisibility and her being able to move without being detected for the most part, and then just dropping a big bomb that explodes in a few seconds can really wipe some teams. I think in a 1v1 fight, she for the most part wins them, and even if she's not winning, she has the ability to get out of them and still cause poison damage and maybe even kill them without even shooting at them at that point. But I think she's one of the just original OG top tier champions for sure that can cause a whole lot of issues for a whole lot of people in the game, and a solid choice for sure. Dredge, I think I have to put Dredge down at C as well. I think he has the potential to be moved up, but I think the problem is that he just is a little underwhelming. His entire kit is just kind of a little underwhelming. I don't think it's just that amazing. Again, I think he has the potential to go up. I think on certain maps, game modes, with the right builds, he can really, you know, go up. But overall, just a champion in himself in fights, I think he's just not really the move for the most part. Yeah, I think he's just overall kind of underwhelming. I think at he can definitely could slide into B. If there was, you know, A plus minus and whatnot, I think he would be C plus B minus tier if there was one. But overall, not. Just there's better choices. How's that? Drogoz. I think Drogoz is just B. I think he's just an overall solid DPS unit. I don't think he's insane. I think he's pretty easy to deal with, as his flying isn't as good as it should be in my opinion. And I think because they are not slow moving rockets, but you know, you can see them coming, it's easy to make sure he doesn't do an insane amount of damage. His ult is obviously scary, and pretty much just a free kill, so obviously run away from it, but I think overall he's not the greatest. And I think his little, like, toxic ball or explosion ball or whatever you want to call it is not a good ability in my opinion. But overall solid. I think if, you know, the enemy team isn't paying too much attention, or they don't really have, you know, the DPS units like Victor, or I'm sorry, I forget, Tyra, I believe her name is, those type of units that can actually shoot him up in the sky and whatnot, then you can definitely succeed. But not easy to deal with. How's that? Solid, but relatively easy to deal with. Let's see, since we're going Victor, I think Victor's A. I think if anybody's played any shooter game, this is your guy. Very easy to use, high amount of damage upside, not the easiest to kill just because he can run away, and I think his ult is a very solid one of the better ones in the game. I think he's just overall one of the most solid units in the game, and obviously one of the easier ones to use if you've played any shooter game, you know. Assault rifle, you know, ADS for the scope, throw a grenade, sprint around, and then your ult is a mortar strike. Like, very solid, easy, good DPS, always a good choice. You're never gonna have someone say, oh, you know, get off Victor, you know. With that, I'll do Tyra as well. I think she's a very, very solid unit. Honestly, maybe even S tier, but I think her mark ability, though it is good, I think if that were better or it was something else that was good, I think that would bump her into S tier. Her gun, again, assault rifle, or I think it's technically LMG, but you know, a gun, solid damage. The Molotov grenade does a good amount of damage and can obviously hold an area, and her ult is solid as well. I think just being able to shoot at an insane rate and do more damage and whatnot is very, very good. As far as movement, though, I think she lacks that as well. I think if she, you know, instead of marking her targets with her other ability, I think if that were, you know, somewhat, I guess that would literally make her identical to Victor, so I get it. But I think that's where she lacks, but she's still overall very, very solid damage unit and definitely should be, you know, picked up and chosen. Definitely not bad at all. Eevee, I just don't know. I think Eevee is C, maybe B, but I think overall, well, you know, I'll put her in B. And the only reason why I'm switching it from B and not C is because she can heal herself, I believe, in her ice thing, much like Mei in Overwatch. And her snowstorm, you know, exactly like Mei in Overwatch. I think can really disrupt a team. I think as a DPS unit, though, or a damage type unit, she's not up there. I think she's more of just the peeling disruptor type of a damage unit. You know, I don't think she can sit there, you know, like Victor or Tyra and just, you know, really dish out damage. She's more of just the, you know, cause problems for the enemy team and ult and really help wipe them. Decent, but honestly a little on the harder side to use, especially for new players. But can fly around, so at least you can get in and out of fights decently and whatnot. Fernando, I think is A tier. I don't really think he's S, but A tier, you know, everybody likes, you know, the Reinhardt type Fernando. You just literally hold the giant shield and hope that your team does good. I think minus the shield, which is, the shield itself is A tier. I think the rest of his abilities and damage and everything is just lackluster besides that. I don't think he does a whole lot of damage. I do think being able to honestly sprint as a tank is very good, though. That can help you get out of a fight if you're losing, or it can help you chase down a target and stay close to them to keep the burning. His ult is, it's not really insane, but it's not really, you know, that bad either. But I think obviously having, you know, a giant shield and anybody that gets close you can probably deal with is solid. And, you know, he's an OG champ, right? Grok, I have to put in B. I've always liked him, but I just don't think he's better than other support units. I think as far as damage, he's alright. I honestly probably wouldn't even put him up there for highest support damage either. But I think just overall solid. You know, if you need a support champion, maybe you already have one or you don't have any and someone chooses Gronk, he's alright. His ult is decent, but he can be killed, and it doesn't do an insane amount of damage for the area effect lightning. But I think overall solid. I think he probably would do the same amount of damage as he does healing. So I think just overall solid champ. Nothing too great to say about him, but nothing too bad either. Grover, I probably have to put an A. I think he can do a pretty good amount of healing, and I think he can cause a lot of problems with his like crippling effect axe throw, and can do a decent amount of damage. And I think being able to swing in and out of fights as well with his movement ability is good as well. And then obviously his ult is much like Zenyatta's ult in Overwatch. Basically makes him, it does make him unkillable, but damn near makes everybody around him in the ult unkillable as well. And yes, I'm going to reference Overwatch a lot just because this is literally essentially an identical game. So yeah. But I think solid. Absolutely no complaints, but I just think to get him to S tier, I think he needs some kind of little more umph. But overall, very, very solid unit, no doubt. Anara, I'm going to put Anara in B. I don't think she's crazy. I think her ult being able to one tap is good. Her wall can be useful, but I don't think, you know, obviously she's a tank, so she's not going to do crazy damage, but she doesn't really do a lot. And I think her little like stone pounding area effect thing is underwhelming as well. The only way it's good is literally if there's, you know, a bunch of people and you put it down and it is affecting them. But that's too hard to do all the time. And she can kind of take a little bit too much damage and not really stop it. Obviously her, you know, wall can kind of help stop it, but it's not like something like, you know, Fernando's shield or something like that where you're gaining shield in any type of way. But overall solid. I mean, she's not bad. There's just better tank units to play as or have on your team for sure. I forget his name. I want to say Janice or something of the. I know it's not Janice, but you know, something similar to that. I think. Ooh. A tier for sure, maybe even S. I low-key forget his ultimate. I think it just shoots a giant beam. But I think he's probably one of the much more damaging. I don't know. He's just solid. He does a very high amount of damage, very good amount of healing, but I just don't think it's on the same level as these two. I think these two just kind of hold their own a lot more than he can, but he's still very, very solid. You know, if you're trying to play another support character, he's definitely up there. I think overall his kit is just a little awkward at times. You know, I think he's much like the Zenyatta. I think he can do, you know, a whole lot of healing. Probably not heal the whole team, you know, as the solo support champ. But I think he can also do a high amount of damage. But yeah, overall solid. I do forget this guy's name, but he does have a mini shield and whatnot. I don't know if I want to put him in A or B. Overall solid, not a whole lot of damage, but I think I'll just put him in B. I think he's, I don't know. I feel like he's better than Anara, but maybe not as good as Fernando. So I don't know. Overall, good. I do forget what his ultimate does or what it even is at all. But I do remember playing as him and with him, and I always thought that he was very solid, never had any complaints about him. Let's do Shaolin. I'm gonna put him in B as well. I think just solid DPS, but overall underwhelming, nothing crazy. I don't think he's that good. I was honestly probably thinking about putting him in C, but I think he can, for a DPS, I think he can do more DPS than these three, or four, I guess. But yeah, I think he's just a decent person. How's that? Nothing crazy, but nothing bad. Let's see. Who do we want to go through next? Makoa. I think Makoa deserves an A spot only because of the disruption with his hook. If you can hit the hooks, he's honestly nasty, being able to pull in a champ, do some damage, being able to get in and out of fights, being able to pop up a shield for you and your team. Not a whole lot of health, but still up there. I think his ult is a little inconsistent. I think it's just hard to always use well, just because he has to get up close and hit them. Obviously, there's times where that's amazing, and then there's times where you basically don't hit or kill anyone. But overall solid. I think he's a very good tank. I think he needs a little bit of help as far as holding an objective. Though he does have the little bit of a shield, other than that, he kind of just has to stand there. So he's definitely more of like the Roadhog / peeling tank, with a little bit of sustain more than others for himself, but nothing insane. Let's see. I think Zen is kind of the same as Shaolin. I think he can just do a good amount of damage, but he's nothing crazy. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about him other than he's solid, but overall there's better choices, or you could choose different and probably do at least the same or better, and or help your team more. Yeah, I think we'll just go with that. I think, ooh, this is hard. So I personally like Strix, but I think his kit is underwhelming. I'm not sure, like, he does have a pistol, which I would not compare as far as the damage and whatnot, but Kanessa can just use her assault rifle and not zoom it in like a sniper, much like Widow. He has a sniper rifle, which I think is more consistent than Kanessa's, but I think his pistol isn't the greatest, and I think the worst part about Strix and why I didn't at least put him in B is because his alt flare gun is just bad. Like, it just is not worth it. The flashbang is okay, but it's nothing crazy. But the flare for the alt is just not good. I think that's definitely why he's down here. If that were different or better or something, then I would put him up, but I think that's the kicker for him. But as far as choosing which one I would like, I would honestly probably, depending on the map, I would probably go Strix. The only reason why I might say Kanessa is if it is, the mines. But I think overall it's Strix. Let's see. I forget this little guy's name. I'll put him in B. He's the very first support dude. I can't think of his name for some reason. I think he's solid. I don't think his healing is not going to be amazing. His DPS is not going to be amazing, but he has a whole lot of movement, and he can do both healing and damage decently. But I think as far as support units, like even I would choose Gronk over him for sure for the support role, and obviously anybody on the higher tiers because they are much better than him. I think he's just, one of the first starting people to learn the support role, which is fair enough. But even then, just choose Grover and you'll do better and help your team way more than him. Oh, what's everybody's else name? Okay, let's just do Meave because at least I know her. My problem is I don't know if I should put her in A or S. I think I have to drop her in S. I think her movement and killability is just insane. She can do so much damage, execute targets, and her ult makes everything so dark so they can't see you. I think she's just one of the hardest people to deal with if someone is playing her well, and I think she can easily carry a team as far as damage and or kills and really help out, especially with, squishier kills as far as, support units or someone that's not a tank or even someone that is low health. Just run in, jump in, stab and get out. Yeah, I think she's probably one of the best DPS. She is harder to learn and play correctly, I think. I think Skye is a little bit easier than Meave as far as being able to be successful with her, but I think the upside for Meave is honestly a whole lot higher than Skye probably. I don't know, maybe Skye, but yeah. I feel like Meave is just harder to play than Skye, but still very, very high upside. Why can I not think of his name? Ooh, I think we have to go B. I can't think of his name. I don't want to say Lucian, but it might be. Again, sorry, I apologize for this way earlier. I forget a lot of people's names. I haven't played in a long time. Whoopsie. But I think he does solid damage. His ult is, for the most part, a insta-kill, especially for squishier units. I think his movement makes him well, and I think a lot of his abilities can just do some good damage, and I think he does pretty decent damage himself. A little bit more on the underwhelming side. Again, I think there's just, better damage units, but he's not bad. I think he's much more consistent than, these two. Honestly, probably these four as well. But I don't think that he does enough damage to put him in the slot for, Tyra and Victor, as far as being able to do that much damage. This chick, I think it's Anara something. The only reason why why she's even in C, I think, is just because of her ult. Her dragon ult is probably one of the best in the game, but I think her herself and her abilities and damage is very lackluster. I think it's more of, can you do enough to get your ult enough times for you to help win the game. But overall, as far as DPS consistency, she's not there. But her ult, like I said, is arguably the best in the game, if not one of, for sure. Krug, I think is his name, something like that. I don't even know. I think he's kind of just a male version of a wannabe Mew. I felt. I didn't really play with him or against him that much, but from what I remember, he's just kind of solid, but I don't think he's much better than just overall solid. I think he's one of those champs that the upside is very high, but the downside is very high, so you just kind of have to put him in the middle and not think about it too much. Who is next? I don't remember. I think this is Ying, I believe. I'm going to put her in B. Again, I think as far as a support role, I think she has the most upside, but also the worst downside. Her damage herself is not gonna be very high, but I think the fact that she's spawning these mirrors and she can teleport to them is very, very good. I think they can dish out a whole lot more healing. I think she's solid. It does take a little bit of time to figure out how to use her correctly, but I think once that is done, she's, like I said, the upside is very high for her, but until then, she's lower tier. But overall solid. Again, as far as support role, there are just better options, but if you need another one, then she's not a second pick, not a bad second pick or something of the sort. I think this is Janice, I might be wrong, or John or something of the sort. I think she deserves an A slot. I just remember her being able to do a solid amount of damage. I don't remember her abilities too much. I know one of them is like a slide, I believe. But overall solid. I believe her ult is just basically a one gun down, much like his and whatnot. But overall, I remember her always doing pretty good amount of damage. I think she's just a better, faster sniper than these two. Even though it's more of, you know, a rifle than an actual sniper rifle, but you know what I mean. Overall solid. I remember her being very well, and you know, I know off the top of my head, even though I don't remember much, I know that I would take her over all of these damage units that's below her for sure. I'm so sorry, I forget everybody's name. I think this is Vivian. Vivian definitely deserves. I think I might put her in the A tier. I think her ult is disgusting. I think her having a shield is disgusting. I think the amount of bullets she has is disgusting. I think she's just an overall very, very solid DPS unit. I do think in some cases she might be worse than Victor or Tyra, but she's literally, I would consider her the best DPS tank just because of the shield and the LMG having, I don't even remember how many bullets, but a lot, obviously, and her ult causing even more damage to come out. And the only way to get rid of her ult, from what I remember, unless they changed it, is to literally like destroy the little orbs that are also shooting. So she's definitely a problem, and definitely one of the best DPS units in the game. Definitely a very good addition to the game from, you know, original launch and first few years. I think she's definitely one of the best damage units added for sure. This little guy I always forget. He's funny, but overall not the best. I think he's more of a DPS type tank. I think he can dish out a decent amount, but I do think that he's relatively easy to kill, unless, you know, minus the possibility that he's being healed. And he does gain, you know, have the ability to gain shield from his ability, but I think overall he's one of the easier ones to kill. You know, he's essentially D.Va without the defense matrix, if that helps. Instead of defense matrix, he just gets some shield, which can save him. but I think overall he's relatively easy to kill, but can do a pretty high amount of damage. And I don't remember anybody else's name, unfortunately. I know a lot of these names I have absolutely been obliterated, and please, feel free to blow me up in the comments. I know I probably don't even deserve to make this anymore because I haven't played in probably like at least a year for sure. But I do always go back and check who the new champs are and everything. Because I did really enjoy playing this, especially as just a second Overwatch game for sure. So this dude, I think I might have to put an A. I think he does have a whole lot of downside to him, but I think the fact that he can essentially eat up everything and gain more damage, and he has some very high DPS. The only big problem with him is that he has to be close. And yes, he can jump to someone and slam down and then be close, but sometimes it can get him killed. I think his ult is actually very useful. It can definitely take people by surprise and get some cheeky kills, being able to res yourself and then explode and kill everybody in the area, or at least do a massive amount of damage. I think that is very good, especially for a tank. I think he's just overall solid. The damage sometimes may not be there, but I think survivability and upside is there, and his ult is very nasty. So I think he deserves an A spot, maybe B, but definitely in this area. I'd say B plus A minus area. Oh, what is your name? Overall, not amazing. I think just solid. I don't think he does enough healing. He does have a very good kit, and his reload is nasty, throwing a snake and stunning people if you hit him with it. So that's an interesting thing, but I just think overall for a support role, again, there's just better, more consistent choices, as well as even more damaging support role choices as well. But I do think he has a good amount of upside, and I think he can do a lot more than someone like him as far as the upside to it. But again, with a lot of these units, I promise that if you play these top 2 tiers of people, you're gonna win way more games with teams built around these people than teams built around these people. That's just how it is, in my opinion, at least with Paladins. Now, some of these B tier champs and even the C tier champs, they could, like I said in the beginning, if someone knows how to play them great, they can be everybody in this whole game can be an S tier champion, but everybody in this whole game can also be the lowest tier champion, depending upon who's playing them, what map it is, what game mode, and what the team comp is. That's just how this game, or a game like Overwatch, or even other games that are similar to these two, are designed to be. It doesn't matter always the team comp, it matters who's playing them. This little guy, I don't know. He definitely causes problems, but I just don't see him always being amazing. I think his ultimate is a little weird and not crazy, but I think being able to do up close damage as well as long distance damage and movement is solid. I think he's solid, but nothing. I wouldn't consider him, a high tier champion at all. This little guy, again, I don't think he's too amazing. I like playing as him, but I don't think that he's always worth it. I don't think he has a whole lot of upside to him playing as him. I think there's just overall better choices in the damage department. His movement, being able to teleport back and forth, can be very helpful, much like a Sombra type, but I don't know. I don't think he does enough damage to warrant that. I think his ult can be interesting to get a free cheeky kill, but honestly, sometimes that ult can get you killed, even if you do get one. So it's just kind of hit or miss with him. Why am I spacing everybody's name out? I forget. But this man is frustrating. This man is always annoying, very difficult. I mean, he just eats up shield and gets more and more health. If he has even a decent healer, he's very, very difficult to kill. The DPS isn't necessarily there, but as far as sustainability and being a very, very solid tank, he's definitely up there. Again, I just think the only reason why he's not probably an S tier is lack of damage. But I think he makes up for it in what he's supposed to do exactly. Willow, I think, is B. I think if you're literally, this game is just fucking Overwatch. This is Echo, essentially. If you don't hit the balls, then it's not really worth it. I think she's good at controlling an area or a point for sure, but she's not insane. I think she's relatively easy to deal with. I don't think she'll win in a lot of like 1v1 fights. She's just kind of the disruptor and bothersome champion that you have to deal with. She can win you some points or some rounds or maybe even some games, but as far as like, you know, how much damage you're going to do in comparison to others, it's going to be less. But I think her being able to control the point is also more than others and deserving of at least a mid-tier slot. This dude, as far as a tank, is also very, very difficult to kill. He does a solid amount of damage and can tank a whole lot of it. I honestly am so sorry I forget a lot of his abilities too. But I know that I remember him being a very, very solid choice, and I liked playing as him. And then, I forget her name. I know she's got a little wolf, and the wolf heals. I think she's kind of like Ying as far as healing, but I think she does more damage than Ying as far as healing, and probably more healing as well. I think she's better than her, but I don't think it's like next level to get her to the next tier. I think she's a solid unit for sure, but I think she just doesn't do enough to get to the next tier. But I think she's very good. I mean, I would say B plus A minus area if there was one. You know, if we were moving around, you know, these people on this tier, I would probably put, you know, like her over here, him over here type of thing, you know what I'm saying? You know, and really get in order. But we're here. So this is my Paladins tier list. Feel free to let me know. Again, I'm so sorry for forgetful of everybody's names and abilities. It's been a long time since I played, but I've been in the mood to create some tier lists, so this is one that I thought would be fun. And I did enjoy playing Paladins when I did. Again, it's free version of Overwatch, so if you've never played it and want kind of like an Overwatch type vibe and you don't want to play that, or you've never even played Overwatch, then, you know, here you go, solid game, free, so go check it out, and let me know down in the comments where you guys would move everybody, what you guys think about my list. Let me know.